Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Paisal Ramdani with student registered number 1195030117 and 5. And in this occasion, I would like to describe about Hans Robert Jost theory from his writing entitled From Literary History as a Challenge to Literary Theory. And I have sorted the summary of the material in a way that I find it was easy to understand, because I myself also have difficulty in understanding this topic when the order is not arranged. I hope this can help. So first I would like to describe an introduction to Jau's reception theory and horizon of expectation as its component. Second, the connection of literary history, literature, and the reader. Third, the concept of aesthetic of reception. Fourth, the function of the aesthetic of reception in criticism. Fifth, Jau's seventh thesis, a process of aesthetic of reception. Sixth, the importance of horizon of expectation. The first subtopic, introduction to Jau's reception theory and horizon of expectation as its component. Hans Robert Jau itself is a prominent figure from Germany who participated in initiating the type of reception theory. In initiating his theory, Jost was influenced by Gadamer's hermeneutic thought and Schiller's historical thought. So these two influences of thought make this reception theory related to the interpretation based on hermeneutic thought of the content of literary works, and the historical element of capturing the meaning of previous reading and history whose context is generation to generation. Reception theory itself has an idea about the reader's acceptance of a literary work until it finally produces a response from the reader himself about what he has read. So, the benchmark of this theory is the reader's response to a literary work and how they interpret it. Horizon of expectations is a term that means a reader's presumption or perception on an empirical basis about a literary work that has been read. Horizon of expectations underlies reception theory in the sense of being accompanied with it. The horizon of expectations for a literary work from everyone will vary depending on the literary concept that the reader has historically had. Okay, next we will move to the main topic to discuss. It is the three connection of literary history, literature, and the reader. Literary history is a term that refers to the traces of the reader's conscious process or their mind in reconstructing what he reads into the perceived meaning. One of these things can be in the form of general norms emanating from literary texts that have been read. Second, the contents in literary works are interpreted in various ways. This continues to grow because since its publication, literary works are considered to continue to receive responses from generation to generation, and there is common sense that contrasts fiction and something real. Third, readers are generally have provision in the form of general knowledge from texts they have read or common sense about what they know in life. So before the reader reads a literary work, there will be a horizon of expectation that rises as a reflection of what he has known before. For the next topic is the concept of aesthetic reception and its function in criticism. In accordance with what has been said by Joss, that the reader does not play a role or not play a passive part in a triangle of writer, work, and reader. The reader is not only a character who gives a mere reaction, but also a forming energy of literary history. So here is a follow-up on some explanation from previous slide and simple examples of them all. As far as I understand about it, this is the systemic sequences of the reader's reception process. First, this is another definition of literary history. Literary history itself is a way that refers to the achievement of the historical horizon about how reader plays literature in the historical horizon and historical reader. First, the result of previous reading about literary works are processed by the reader's awareness or the reader's minds into constructed meaning. The way how the reader interprets literary work is influenced by the situation in reading. For example, reading a sad poetry with perfect diction in a calm atmosphere makes the reader carried away by the atmosphere to tears. And then second, the result of reading that has been constructed into meaning by the reader becomes a horizon of expectation. It is namely the criteria he determines in assessing literature. For example, a reader's statement that said, "A sad poetry make us feel the sadness through dictions," that has the right metaphorical element and it's constructed in stanzas as usual. Such a perception above, it will become the reader's expectation on the contents of another sad poetry. And for the third step, this perception will be the basis of benchmark point of a horizon of expectation for the reader to judge or assess another work as a good reader. It is also called as passive responding readers. For example, when the reader found the said poetry with same criteria as before, the reader just read the poetry and just carried away by the tone or just enjoy the literary work. On the other hand, readers who respond actively will explain why the poetry is so good in terms of its diction, form, and how it conveys feelings, etc. And then fourth, the horizon of expectation being met or fulfilled or not. Next, the reader will respond to the literary work as an active response or passive response reader. A good reader just enjoying what they read. They just enjoying the tone, the plot, etc. And receptional history or the active responding reader will explain the reason why the poetry can make him cry. Is it the plot convey with the mixed plot or the character dialogue or other things? And then the next topic, it's about Chow's 7 thesis as the process of receptional theory. In his first thesis, it is said that literature is not a monument that has one meaning and remains the same, but literature itself has various meaning. This is caused by the different responses of readers itself, either in contemporaries or in different time period based on different generation of readers. The second thesis said that the horizon of expectation is formed from historical monuments, including the reader's previous understanding of various things in life, or various things from literary work, such as genres, forms, or themes that have been read before. This shows that even a newly published work is not categorized as a completely new work. In Zhao's third thesis, he said that the distance or gap that exists between expectations and new literary work give rise to predictions or presumptions. The result of this presumption can be in the form of denial of the aesthetic reception experience or even creating a new aesthetic reception experience. And for the fourth thesis, variation in reception literature according to their respective times, or it also can be said as the spirit of the age. For example, interpretation that is influenced by time. So, contemporary readers must let go of the hegemony of truth from readers or readings in the past. Therefore, this will later lead to variation of interpretation from the original monosemy to polysemy. For the fifth thesis, Zhao said that aesthetic of reception is not only about form or meaning, but there is a historical element as evolution, which then result in innovation. For example, an old work that is the background of a new work begins with readers who actively respond to the first work. Then the sixth thesis said that the synchronic perspective is needed to be used to describe reception in an era or a period of time or a generation. As for other perspectives such as diachronic perspective to explain reception for different time periods, namely across ages. And the last thesis said that the social function of the literary work itself can be realized if the reader's literary experience enters into the reader's horizon of expectation and is applied by the readers in their daily lives. The next topic is about the importance of the horizon of expectation in criticism. Horizon of expectation is the initial capital that underlies the presence or absence of an active reader response from a work. This is necessary so that literary history can be realized. The world of literature will develop so rapidly if all readers respond actively. There will be many literary works with various new colors that are inspired by the result of the activity of readers perceiving meaning in previously reading. Therefore, the horizon of expectation is very important in criticism, especially to stimulate an active response from the receptional theory itself. So maybe that's all I can present. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.